have you all with us today. Thank you again for joining us. With me, I have my extraordinary co-host, Shawn. Hi, Shawn.
Hi, LaShawn. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be back. I've been gone for a couple of months, you guys, so it's so great to be back. Thank you so much for holding down the fort.
Of course. It's great to have you back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And of course, Coco was able to step in while I was out. Thank you so much, Coco, for that.
Oh, I had a wonderful time, and thank you so much. It was a great experience.
I'm so glad. It was just great to see you guys. I am so thrilled about Kenneth being here. I mean, we're all thrilled to have you here. We're honored to have you here. And with your impressive career, we know that the civil rights movement is so much at the forefront of who you are and how you became we call you Dr. Kenneth Salaam, because we really feel like that title is so deserving of you. Did you want to get started with a little bit about your history?
First of all, thank everyone for having me on this show. You know, when you're young, you never know what the future looks like, and as you live your life, you never know where your life is going. But I tried to live a life of compassion and a life of concern for others. First of all, let me do a disclaimer. I am not a doctor proper. I did an interview for Temple University years ago, and once it was posted online, they called me Dr. Salaam.
That's what we started calling you too.
Of course, my current profession is I'm a house painter. But boy, if I was a doctor, I would be living a much easier life. But it's an honor. You know, I think that my experience, if I could say it humbly,
yes,
my experience in the human rights, and I really like to coin that period of my life as really the human rights movement. I mean, I know civil rights is what most people are aware of and cognizant of, but I thought that the problems, the situations, and the events that were taking place then with African Americans, we were really fighting for human rights.
right.
You know, the right to use a bathroom. You know, that's like a human need. You don't have to
human
legislate that.
Yes.
You know, so, but you know, we go along with the program, and we did need civil rights. We needed the rights to be able to ride public transportation and through interstates without harassment. We needed the rights to, if my family was shopping in a store in the South, we should have had the right to have something to eat if we're shopping in that store, you know. So civil rights, it all meshes together, but I don't want to lose the picture, because the inhumane treatment that was being done to people of color was just inhumane. Just inhumane.
Right.
So I'm from a family of eight brothers and sisters. We lived in the hood, as they say, in North Philadelphia. We lived on the third floor. It really was a family house. My grandparents and parents moved up from the South, from Greenville, South Carolina, and in the 40s, they bought a house, and the first floor was my grandmother and my grandfather. The second floor was my cousins, and the third floor was my family. So it was a family house, so that family thing was always there, you know, it was always there. And back then, sometimes it was kind of hard on a child, you know, because you couldn't do much, because if your mother couldn't beat you or couldn't scold you or reprimand you, your aunt did it, or the grandmother did it. You know? So there's no way as a child you can get away from trying to be a decent child. But that's where we raised 5 boys and 3 girls on the third floor, and 5 boys sleeping in the same bed, unfortunately, you know. So the beginning was rough, but it was loving. There was love there. My mother, she was a domestic worker. She did some work in the factory now and then, but she basically was a domestic worker. And you know, I looked at my mother, how she went out and scrubbed other people's floors and still had to have energy to scrub her own floors. You know,
right.
If we didn't do it, you know, she was going to make sure it got done.
Right.
But you know, be all day caring for someone else's home care, and then coming home and trying to maintenance her own home. So she's Superwoman to me. I never saw her cape in her closet, but
she has one.
But she you know, I tell people, and there's a song, the lyrics from a song, it was called "I Love My Mama." It said, I don't know how my mama made it through the week when she hardly had a good night's sleep. She taught us how to say hello and thank you, please, while scrubbing those floors on her hands and knees. I'll always love my mama. So we had a strong mother. My father was always home. You know, well, thank God that I don't have that story of not having a father, you know, because that brings a lot of issues to children and family. Well, my father, he was a tailor. When he came home from World War II, after many African Americans was able to get the GI loan, because at first it was hard for African Americans to get that GI money. And when he did get it, he took the tailoring trade, but he could never get the money to start a tailoring business. So he did little odd jobs, and he became a prison guard, and then he ended up, for his death, he became one of the first African American sheriffs in Philadelphia, deputy sheriff, not the sheriff, over the deputies. But so he was always home, but always working.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't a lot of interaction with dad. Like, come here, son, let me tell you about this world or whatever.
Right.
So, but he was there.
Yeah.
And the discipline was there, and I thank God for the discipline. Around 14 years old, something happened to me. And I say it in a very humble way, in a very unexpected way. First off, it was the death of Medgar Evers. I had kind of knew about what was going on in the world with racism, and I'd heard about the NAACP in Philadelphia, because they had just that year, I think the year before, they had just did a demonstration downtown with a bus company called Trailways. Trailways had a very bad hiring policy for African Americans or people of color. And Cecil B. Moore, who was the president of Philadelphia NAACP, who was also one of the first African American Marines, what they call the Moffett Point Marines. And if you study history, those were the Marines who had to fight to get to fight, because they had the Marines fighters, you know, they had the African American Marine loading trucks and, you know, doing some of the menial jobs that the African American males or females was doing in general public. So Cecil B. Moore was one of the Moffett Point Marines. He came back to Philadelphia, became a lawyer. Fast forward, he became the president of NAACP in Philadelphia. And NAACP branch in Philadelphia was the largest in the country. And by him being a Marine, his posture for protesting was different from most of the movements, SALC or CORE, and even NAACP, which at that time was being headed by Roy Wilkins. So it was more of a nonviolent, and we were nonviolent, but Cecil B. Moore, having that Marine in him, his talk was agitated, his demeanor was forceful, you know, and sometimes it brushed up against the character or the how could you say it, the NAACP's national image, so to speak, character.
Right.
That's what I'm character. Which was totally
certain
nonviolent,
image.
you know. But anyway, the Trailway bus station was discriminating against African Americans. You know, you couldn't drive the bus, you couldn't be a ticket agent, etc. All you could do is mop the floor, etc. So Cecil B. Moore went down with some freedom fighters and laid in the streets and laid in the driveway where the buses come out. You know, the buses couldn't leave, so that's how we protested back then. We shut things down. You know, Trailways desegregated. Mm-hmm. They finally gave in, hired African American ticket agents, and then Greyhound just fell in line. We didn't have to go to Greyhound. But in 1963, Medgar Evers, killing of Medgar Evers, because again, as a teenager, here I'm only 14 years old. I mean, 14, I was supposed to be playing basketball or having my first infatuation.
Yes.
You know? But for some reason, I didn't experience that. You know, when I heard about the demonstrations and then the death of Medgar Evers, it really set me off. Yeah. And here's a man, 35 years old, who was head of the NAACP in Jackson, Mississippi, coming home, and a coward hiding killed him. And he was really, I believe he was the first civil rights leader assassinated in the 60s. So 63, you know, touched me, and there was a big demonstration in Philadelphia, and I went to the demonstration. That was like the bug that bit me, so to speak. And again, I'm not putting all this stuff in some kind of perspective.
Right.
Where I'm saying, I'm going
Oh, I'm going
to
to
follow
be a
this.
part- yeah.
I'm going to do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm still moving on my feelings. I'm
Right.
still moving on discuss. So after the demonstration for the death of Medgar Evers, I just joined the NAACP Youth Council.
Yes.
And so I really got involved. And, just so many things just started happening. My mother, first of all, she was just upset because I was, I would be out demonstrating and, doing things. And she, after school, and but she knew, my parents knew that would be a difficult life for me, knowing I was young. I really didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
This gorgeous Emmy, can you please give us the backstory?
It was given to the group, the Freedom Fighters, the Cecil B. Moore Philadelphia Freedom Fighters, who I mentioned earlier, in 2016 for the best historical documentary. It was a story. It's called Cecil's People, the Freedom Fighters. That was the name of the historical documentary, and it was about what Cecil B. Moore did in Philadelphia and what the Freedom Fighters, along with him, did to help fight segregation in Philadelphia. And the group, as I said earlier, it's called the Cecil B. Moore Philadelphia Freedom Fighters. So that's the core group who's still alive, but we still go around talking to young people. We still go to demonstrations. We still try to have a presence to fight injustice. We all say that this is the people's Emmy. This is not mine. It belongs to everybody who has a concern to make our world better and safer.
Right.
So when we go out, we take the Emmy with us, like I brought it here. We let people take pictures with it, because most people never seen it. I never saw Emmy.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
I just tell
yes.
people. I just tell people. I just wish the check came with it. And I tell people it's the same one Oprah has. It's not a fake.
It's not a fake.
It's not a fake.
No, it's
But
not.
it really was an honor. The Cecil B. Moore Philadelphia Freedom Fighters, like I said, we're still alive. We got Columbia, and we got this SEPTA station now, named Cecil B. Moore Station. Then we also we call it the Civil Rights Station. So if you go down in that station, if you're in Philadelphia, if you visit Philadelphia, if you go to the back, you'll see a wall of information on Gerard Collins, Cecil B. Moore, and some of the history of Philadelphia. So we want to turn into a Civil Rights Information Station. I was asked a question one time at an interview, what was some of my touchy moments in the civil rights movement with Dr. King, and I think that, I met Dr. King when I was, I guess I was 15. And I had the experience of being around him lots of times, and I was telling someone a while ago that I was like a fly on the wall of the civil rights movement. I'm not, I'm not Jesse Jackson, I'm not John Lewis, you follow me, but I was like, by being a teenager, most teenagers, you ignore them. I wasn't ignored, but, they saw that I was serious. And when I got arrested for the first time, that's when first people found out I was a teenager. When Dr. King was in Philadelphia, got arrested, and they found out that I was a teenager because when they were taking me to court, they were taking me to the adult hearing court, magistrate hearing. Then they said, no, he's a teenager, he's only a teenager. Oh, bam, bam. They said, well, he's a teenager. So I was a fly, like in the civil rights movement, So a few years ago, a woman did a play on my life called the Freedom Smitty play. And she said to me when she studied me, which I reluctantly got interviewed for, because it wasn't about me. I always say it's not about ego, it's about we go. I've never tried to, put, and things coming to me now, I'm just trying to, because I'm on my way out now, so I'm trying to tell the story, I got more time behind me than I have in front. So it was an honor, to be around Dr. King, but when I was around him, he was like my brother. He was my brother, historically, culturally, but he wasn't the awe. I didn't awe him like that, because we were fighting. We were fighting side by side, you know what I mean? We was in Mississippi, and the James Meredith marched very quickly. As you know, James Meredith was the first African-American integrated Mississippi, University of Mississippi. When he sent the application in, he got accepted. When he came down to get his books or continue the process, he said, oh, no, that was James Meredith. And when John F. Kennedy had to send troops down there, he had to walk between troops to go to class, But anyway, so James Meredith, he decided to walk through Mississippi in 1966. He said, I'm going to prove to the people in the world that an African American can walk through Mississippi without fear. It was called the March Against Fear. It became the March Against Fear. And the second day on the march, he was shot. He wasn't killed, but he was shot. So it polarized the civil rights movement, or the civil rights movement at that time. So everybody went to Mississippi. We're going to show the world, America in particular, that an African American can walk from Memphis, Tennessee, which his intent was to walk from Memphis, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi, over 200 miles. It took us over a month to do it because we were stopped. We were getting gas. They gassed us. One night we had a tent. They used to follow us in a tent. We used to pitch the tent. And we went to one area where we thought it was government property. My mind slipping my mind, but anyway, we couldn't pitch the tent. State troopers came, and we said, pitch the tent, pitch the tent. They said, you can't stay here, you gotta keep moving, gotta keep moving. And so Dr. King said, we're gonna pitch the tent, you know. And then all of a sudden, the state troopers put the gas masks on and started shooting the gas, and that's when Stokely Carmichael, that was the night that Stokely Carmichael stood up on the truck and told everybody, Black Power, that was on that march. The first statement that became nationally known,
Right.
Black Power. You know, that was one of the moving moments with Dr. King. Then naturally, his funeral, I was able to attend the funeral, which would shock me. I wasn't down. I didn't go to Memphis during that march, but I came back to Philadelphia because I was all over the place. I wasn't like with Dr. King when I went. You know, I might be somewhere. I went to New York with him with the March Against Vietnam, where he made the famous speech. We need to have a war on poverty, and where we can't have no conscientious objectors, where everybody needs to join. You know, I was there, and the police attacked us there in the park with their horses and stuff. But fast forward, Dr. King's funeral, I was blessed to, during the funeral procession, I'm walking across the front of the line, because I was a freedom singer back during the civil rights movement, and the freedom songs were the songs that kept the morale of the marches up. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, Lord, turn me around, Lord, turn me around. So it kept the morale of the marches up. So I would be singing a lot of those songs in the front of the procession, walking back to the grave. And then when we got to the graveyard, I'm escorting the body on the caisson, and there's a picture of me, which I didn't know. I was surprised to see when I visited the King Center in Atlanta. There's a big picture of the wagon that carried Dr. King's body, casket, and it's roped off, and the whole backdrop is a picture taken from the funeral procession, and there I was with the casket. So that was a surprise.
Wow.
But so the point is, my life and the life that Dr. King wanted to portray to the world, and others like Dr. King who died so that other people can live better. I'm just surprised that I lived this long, because I was in situations where I could have died. But I want to say, I'm thankful that my mother, who died at 96 years old, I was able to publicly apologize to her. When they did the Freedom Smitty play, she came to the play, and after the play, she was on the front row, and I said, Mama, which I call her, I said, Mama, thank you and forgive me for breaking your heart. Because she knew what Mississippi was. You know, Mississippi was a rough town. You know, the famous singer Nina Simone wrote a song called Mississippi Got,
Yeah.
you know, we're on TV or whatever. But, you know, Mississippi was a rough town back in the 60s, you know what I mean? So she knew when I went down there, I was going into hell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
But so I was happy that before she left this earth, that I was able to publicly apologize to her, because, you know, no mother loves a child like the mother. You know,
Exactly.
child, you know what I mean?
That's so
So I've got a chance to do that.
Mother-son bond.
You know, so
Yes.
that was a blessing. But also since then, that's all I wanted to do, was to try to make the world better, the better way I can, the little way I can. I don't have much to offer other than my enthusiasm, my commitment. And I wrote a poem in 1969 called Human Factor. Please don't judge me by my skin, because the real me lives within. God gave me a human mind. And hey, people, it's right on time. We're not black and we're not white, not in God's sight. And we better get it right. We're human beings, and that's a fact. So don't let color hold you back. Our minds are greater than our skin, but only together will we win.
You know, I'm thinking about when you and I talked over the phone, and I was asking you about topics that you really felt so passionate about. And one of the topics was how you feel about people respecting other people's talents and contributions
Yes,
to the world.
Yes,
how
yes.
much that means to you.
Yes, yes.
And I just want to say to you that you have really given the world a lot
thank
in
God.
terms of your talents and contributions, which is why you have an Emmy, which is why a lot of folks, even Temple, want to interview you and call you doctor. But no, really, on a very humble
Thank you.
tip here, I want to say how moved I am by everything that you've shared. I even was tearing up a bit. But like you were saying a little bit ago, it was only, what, 50 summers ago, you said?
That's right, 50 summers ago.
That's
long.
And that's it. It's still very
Still in the
with
air.
us, and it's
trying
in the
to,
air.
It's trying to breed itself back up again, but I don't believe it's going to happen. Some people get discouraged. Listen, it'll never come back. But because good people don't control the narrative, we don't control the media, we can't show that it's goodness, more goodness in America than it is bad. But like Dr. King said, he said, evil stands up when good people sit down. Okay? And we all came here, he said, we all came here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. So we got to find a way to get along, and I think there's more good people in America, but the good people, like that poem says, you know, we got to look at our human nature. We got to value what's equality. We all came here with our best dress is our humanity. That's our best. When God created all of us, that's our best picture he gave all of us, was our humanity. Because when you go to school to be a doctor, you don't study the Chinese body, you don't study the African body, you don't study the Asian body, the European body, you study the human body. So people got to take that simple explanation and believe that if we inculcate that into our psychology and respect people for what they do, not for the way they look. Because to deny a person, I was in Mississippi, I didn't know African Americans go to ice cream stores. I walked into an ice cream store, they busted me in my head. And the press caught it. When I came home, I was on the front page of the newspaper, civil rights leader attacked in cafe trying to buy ice cream. I mean, he knocked me, he hit me so hard that, I mean, you know, naturally when somebody hits you, it's just a natural response. I mean, a baby, if you take something from a baby will try to get it back. I mean, that's just a natural human inclination. So I'm going to get up to hit this guy, but I said to myself, here I am, 16 years old, and I learned what self-discipline was. Because I said to myself, I said, Kenneth, you didn't come to Mississippi for an ice cream cone. You came here to get these people registered to vote. So right then, I swallowed my pride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Sometimes you have to make those kinds
so
of
I can go to the
decisions.
next level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I mean, that was such a shock. Because in my mind, I'm looking for ice cream because it was hot that day. And I saw the sign said ice cream. And I didn't know African American go into some of the stores down there to buy ice cream.
Yeah.
And that's how petty was. So the point is, we have to, each of us has to talk to each other, and each of us has to find out what can they do personally. What talent do you have? If you're an artist, draw something that depicts humanity. If you're a singer, sing about something. We have to study the psychology of the world and put in the minds of the people, consciously and subconsciously.
Right. I agree.
That things are going to get better, and we all going to do it together.
Yes.
Thank you.
I heard a little birdie tell me that there's a song coming up that you're about to do for us.
Well, I wanted to sort of give people what it was like on a demonstration. You know, the freedom songs, which I was known for singing, that got me the name Freedom Smitty, were songs that were call and response songs, but they were the songs that kept the morals of the marchers up. You know, because when you're out there, you're marching, it's something to keep your spirit up. And so I just want to give you an idea of how the songs were depicted during the movement, give you an idea. Imagine that there's a demonstration going on, and the police are, you know, telling everybody, stand back, don't go no further. The police are gathering, and they're putting on their helmets and whatever, and the demonstrators, we get in a bunch, and the police are walking towards, and all of a sudden, I would jump up and say, ain't gonna let nobody turn us around, Lord, turn us around, yeah, turn us around. We ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. We gotta keep on walking and keep on talking and heading up the freedom land. So while we're singing, the songs were called in response.
Yes.
So I would say, I would be singing a song, and the response would be, keep on, yeah, keep on, yeah, and heading up the freedom land, yeah, we ain't gonna let nobody, and the police shooting the gas or whatever, whatever.
Yes.
But it kept the morale and the marches
Yes.
up, you know.
Oh,
And it was not beknownst to me. A few years later, Sidney Poitier came to Philadelphia to do a movie called The Lost Man, and he needed some freedom fighters, some real freedom fighters, I guess. And they couldn't find no actors in Hollywood at the time. But they used our group, the Young Militants, to help build the freedom sings up. And I was able to sing that song in the movie.
Wow.
You know, and you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to Hollywood, but I didn't know. but really the freedom songs.
You're in good company.
They were so important. They were so important. So I just want people to know that right today, we're not going to let anybody.
nope.
I'm speaking for those who are not here and for those who are here today who wants to see our world get better. We're not going to let nobody turn us around.
That's
we're going
right.
to keep on walking. We're going to keep on talking.
Yes.
Heading for the freedom land.
This entire show has been just so moving. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having
And I did want to say there was a quote that you said earlier about when evil sits down.
Yeah,
or
Dr.
when
King.
yes. Can
Paraphrase
you
it.
say
Yeah,
that? Yes.
Dr. King, paraphrased it. He said that evil stands up when good people sit down.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if enough good people stand up, what we see today in America, and I think in the good people, some people just stay at home. But when we can bring all the good people out the house and have all the good people's voices and all the good people's advocacy in whatever area they can advocacy, whether it's in films, whether it's in theater, whether it's in art, whether it's in, whatever talent that you have, that you can do something to show disgust for a narrative that's trying to take root in America where people will be judged by the color of their skin, but not by the contents of their character.
Yes.
So that's
Thank
the
you.
mission. That's the mission we all have.
Thank you for that. And I think that's a beautiful way to close.
Oh, my
And
sister,
I want to
bless
say
you.
one more thing that you said. Goodness is on the rise.
That's right. Goodness is on the
Yes.
ride, baby.
That's like my favorite thing. I'm going to start saying that, you guys, on a regular basis.
Goodness is on
And
the rise.
because of
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Goodness is
you
on the
so
rise.
much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
And
everyone.
Deep
thank you.
appreciation.
Thank you so much for joining Shawn, LaShawn, and friends. And we will see you back here next time with part 2.